some data come in just earlier this week that number of people that started their e-commerce searches on Amazon has gone down from last year because Amazon was dominating, and Walmart has made the biggest leap in the last 12 months in terms of solidifying a place as a marketplace for Amazon sellers or for sellers in general.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of What's Working in E-commerce. I'm your host, Eagan Heath. I'm the owner of Caravan Digital. We're a direct-to-consumer e-commerce agency. We help with things like paid search, paid social, and email automation to help our clients get more traffic, leads, and sales. And today we have our first guest, part 2. Manish Chowdhary from Cahoot is back on to talk shipping, logistics, e-commerce order fulfillment. Manish, thank you so much for coming back.
Eagan, thank you for having me.
Manish, what is new? I think we spoke maybe August 2022. We're recording now sort of mid-April 2023. What's going on in the world of e-commerce order fulfillment and shipping logistics?
Well, a lot has changed. It's been only, let's say, short 7-8 months since we last spoke, but a lot has changed. Some big headlines that you hear about. One of the biggest things that came out earlier this week, in fact, that Amazon is making some massive changes to its own logistics and fulfillment model, from going from national fulfillment to a regional fulfillment. And of course, in a classic Amazon fashion, details have not been shared. So we don't know what that really means. But what we do know is Amazon is trying to optimize, which is a short form of reducing cost. And that is this cost-cutting measures is the talk of town, no matter which company you hear about, whether it's layoffs or what have you. So merchants are feeling the pain. We were talking earlier about the consumer spending is going down. Inflation still remains high. So all of this is putting intense pressure on the sellers to find ways to reduce their cost in an environment that is actually quite polar opposite, because the shipping cost continues to go up. That has seen no sign. We're seeing some big headlines. UPS is having trouble with its union, which only spells more higher cost. The dollar signs written all over that. FedEx just reorganized or announced that they are going to merge FedEx Ground and FedEx Express. Those have been two separate business units in an effort to reduce cost. So cost cutting all the way. Merchants are feeling the heat. And the other big change that happened is the cost to bring a container, let's say from China or overseas to the US, has gone dramatically down, several double-digit percentage down since we last spoke in August. Cost of freight has gone down because there's excess capacity. We went from having no capacity to excessive amounts and record high freight to now things are leveling off.
Pretty wild times. What is an e-commerce seller or brand owner to do? What do you think? Where does the rubber meet the road here? How should they be steering their businesses and their organizations?
That's a really great question, Eagan. I wish I had all the answers because I'd be very rich if I did. But what we can tell is smart operations, right? Just-in-time inventory to the extent possible, because all those pressures of storing excess inventory that you had constraints on suppliers that they could not meet, and the retailers were making bold predictions. The pandemic-driven e-commerce growth has leveled off. So there's no reason to overcommit oneself right now, especially when the environment is uncertain. So certainly look at all across your business unit, all across the business operations. What is excessive? Try to get rid of that. Try to renegotiate with suppliers. Run a tighter ship, and also the cost of advertising. That also continues to go up. Attracting customers is very hard. So all in all, I think merchants should be looking for redundancy, looking for optimization and automation wherever possible.
I'm intrigued that you're recommending just in time. I know that's kind of come under scrutiny, at least in the public eye, during and post pandemic here, in terms of that was all sort of, I think coming from lean manufacturing and sort of that lean, approach to business. And I think the sense, or at least the narrative, seems to be people got bit by that, where they were sort of waiting and they couldn't get the inventory they need. Now you're sort of counseling, hey, let's go back to that, or let's make sure we're keeping things lean. We're not holding too much inventory. How do you think about that, given everything we've seen?
100%. I mean, I was the guy who told you in August last year that instead of being just in time, you have just in case inventory. But the things have changed. I mean, there is no real reason when you don't know what the demand is going to be. The forecast is softer across the board. You would rather, in this present environment, run out of inventory than to be dealing with excess inventory and have to liquidate, especially when the demand is soft. And of course, there's, you got to go deeper here, right? That what is your vertical? What products are you selling? Is it recession proof, or rather it is discretionary, or is it an essential item? Is it a premium product? Is it a luxury item, or is it a staple that people will trade down? So of course the devil is in the detail, but I wouldn't recommend anyone storing excess amounts of inventory at this present time.
Interesting. I think you've really hit on the trade-off there that, brand owners and e-commerce operators have to think about, which is, do we always fulfill? If someone places an order, are we able to ship it in a couple days or what have you? Or is it better to be on the other side and really keep a lean operation, hold on to our cash, not store inventory? And it sounds like, depending on what's going on in the world, people might want to change their approach, not just have one approach per business. Is that right?
Right, Egan. And what I mean just in time, obviously, I'm not suggesting have 2 days of inventory. I'm suggesting, depending on your lead time, your how long it takes for the inventory to arrive, you want to have 60, 90 days of inventory, maybe 120 days, but you certainly don't want to have 180 to 365 days of inventory. That's quite excessive, especially if you don't have visibility into your demand forecast. It all boils down to how clear is your visibility, how far is your line of sight. If I can see all the way, and I know that I have strong demand, this is an excellent time to negotiate better rates with your supplier, as long as you can see that far. If your line of sight is shorter, then I would act accordingly.
Yeah, and that kind of gets into maybe customer lifetime value and repeat purchases. If you can have repeat buyers, that you're nurturing through email, maybe SMS, we've had episodes about that. Or if you're doing subscriptions, that's a great way as well to get some predictability around those sales. I love it. Tell us more about what are you seeing in your world, and maybe speak to the people who are watching this where maybe, they're doing fulfillment on their own. They're looking at Amazon FBA or using that. You're kind of speaking from this other point of view of use a 3PL, use a 3PL instead. How do you talk with sellers that are doing things like that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the big changes that's happened was, Amazon FBA, because almost every seller is nearly selling on Amazon. I mean, I'll take that almost for granted, just because it's such a large marketplace that every seller must have an Amazon strategy. And Amazon is a good barometer of the industry. So they were last August when I was on the show, we talked about Amazon facing a lot of storage constraints. They were limiting the sellers. Sellers could not send inventory into Amazon. And then Amazon came back earlier this year, even as early as January, when they said, you know what, we found a solution. Now we can allocate more space, and you can start bidding for space. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
There's a whole new this came in that now you can bid for FBA space. If you're confident, you can bid excess amount. And there's a whole podcast on our website on Kahoot.ai, where the users can go and listen to the more detailed narrative on how that works. And so now there is a way, if you really wanted to get your inventory into FBA, there's a way. However, it can very quickly backfire if you don't know what you're doing, or if you don't have sufficient visibility. In fact, it can cost you even more. So then that happened, and then Amazon started laying off workers in the fulfillment centers. They started closing fulfillment centers because they had too much space available, and also Amazon leadership is looking to reduce cost. That is the big thing that Amazon costs went out of control and their profitability suffered, and obviously their stock took a hit, and therefore now the CEO Andy Jassy is on a mission to right size or optimize those operations. So from a seller's perspective, FBA is still in turmoil. FBA does not give you a lot of confidence that, on January you're being communicated one thing, then you got bidding, then again in April fees are going up. It just is a very uncertain environment that I would recommend that every seller have a backup to FBA. You've got to have a backup, and it cannot be FBA. FBA cannot be FBA's backup.
Yeah, that's well put. Anything else we should talk about today? Anything else that's new that should be on the radar for e-commerce merchants?
I think what we're seeing is Walmart is gaining traction. In fact, that is one of the big ahas, if you will. I saw some data come in just earlier this week that number of people that started their e-commerce searches on Amazon has gone down from last year because Amazon was dominating, and Walmart has made the biggest leap in the last 12 months in terms of solidifying a place as a marketplace for Amazon sellers or for sellers in general. They're inviting more sellers. They're putting out more promotions to attract more sellers. So if you're not selling on Amazon, Walmart, definitely go give it a shot. It is the volume is picking up. More consumers are going there. Walmart launched Walmart Plus. So that's one thing that the sellers that may have tried Walmart in the past but haven't succeeded or didn't get the traction, it might be time to go look at it one more time, give it another shot.
I appreciate that update on sort of what is the product search engine, right? If we run Google search and Google shopping ads for clients, and it's kind of been going back and forth of, is it Amazon, is it Google? And now you're saying Walmart is entering the fray there. Pretty darn interesting. Manish, remind everybody, what you guys do and who you're a good fit for and where they can find you.
Awesome. And before I answer that, Eagan, one more quick tip. Same thing, YouTube and TikTok. It used to be same thing. YouTube has lost the share or losing share of e-commerce searches, and a lot of it is going to TikTok. So I'm sure, Eagan, you have tons of advice for for retailers how to use TikTok, but that's another nugget, and I'll come back to Kahoot in just a moment.
That's interesting. Yeah, one of the things we see certainly on organic YouTube is people are doing product reviews of before they check something out, they want a third party's take or maybe an influencer's take on what do you say about this? What are the best headphones? What are the best whatever? I want to see it broken down via video so I could see those sorts of comparison and sort of review and testimonial type videos could be powerful. And maybe it's going to be, that mobile sort of vertical video instead of, something on desktop like YouTube or what have you. So that's a great one.
Awesome. Well, and closing, come check out Kahoot, Kahoot.ai. That's the website. And Kahoot is the world's first peer-to-peer order fulfillment network. We have a very large network of warehouses. We help sellers with full service fulfillment, which includes wholesale, retail, direct to consumer, as well as FBA forwarding. Kahoot could act as a great backup, or Kahoot could be a primary solution. Logistics is a huge cost center, and Kahoot helps you optimize that so you can be more profitable, because 2023, the focus is on profitability, focus is on efficiency. So come check out Kahoot.ai, and if you want to talk or even get a quote, just contact us and we'd love to chat with you.
All right, Manish Chowdhary, thank you for being the first to come back on and share what's working in e-commerce.
Eagan, it's an honor. Thank you for having me.